A new movie that opened tonight in Europe is creating an uproar. It's called Valley of the Wolves, Iraq. Now, here's the plot to the movie. U.S. soldiers attack a wedding party in Iraq. They drag prisoners off to Abu Ghraib. The soldiers then conspire with a Jewish doctor to harvest and sell the internal organs of the Arab prisoners. Critics are calling it one of the worst anti-American propaganda films ever. And guess what? It stars two big Hollywood actors. One of the soldiers is played by Billy Zane of Titanic fame, and Gary Busey of Point Break, Lethal Weapon, and the Buddy Holly story. With me now to talk about what these guys in Hollywood are thinking is Bill Donahue. He's president of the Catholic League, and Grady Hendrix, he's a writer for Daily Variety's Asian Movie blog. Thank you all for being with us. Grady, you don't think Americans should be offended by this movie, do you?
Well, I don't know about every American, but being a patriotic American myself, I believe in freedom of speech, freedom of association, so no. And for Gary Busey, this is a big step forward from the Ginger Dead Man that he was in last year.
So he's playing actually a Jewish doctor that harvests the organs of Arabs. Can you think of a more anti-Semitic setup?
Well, yeah, I can, but that probably reflects poorly on me. But, you know, I think a lot has been made about this, and I think viewers should know right off that all three of us are really talking out of our ears since I don't think any of us have seen the film. You know, it's just been released. None of us have seen it. All we know about Gary Busey's role is that in the synopsis on the company website, it says his character is Jewish. And, you know, being from South Carolina myself, when I'm talking to someone or I'm telling them a story, I'll sometimes say, oh, this black guy. And someone will look at me and say, why do you have to know he's black? And, you know, it's a cultural thing. Different cultures, they think different things that are worth mentioning. And I think in the Middle East, you know, it is something when you say someone is a Jew. And I think that raises our eyebrows. But I think over there it's par for the course and part of the daily way people talk to each other.
Yeah, a Jew that harvests the organs of Arabs. Yeah, if that's par for the course for the way they think, that explains why you have people running airplanes into buildings in America. Here's what these two actors had to say to Scarborough Country about their role in this movie. Billy Zane says, quote, I was fascinated by a compelling character embroiled in a controversial topic that told the story from a different point of view. I'll be the first to say that this movie was slanted, heavy-handed, and even harsh. And while I appreciate the healthy debates that accompany these topics, I'm an actor who plays an intriguing character, not a political pundit. And Gary Busey defended his role with a statement through his lawyer saying, do we really want the Times to dictate our freedom of expression? Well, Bill Donahue, I guess I feel bad for questioning why Gary Busey would star in a film in a Muslim country that portrays Jews as harvesters of Arabs' organs and portrays Americans as war criminals. What's wrong with this picture?
Well, look, there are people in Hollywood, not all of them, but there are some people who are nothing more than harlots. They will do anything for the buck. They wouldn't care. If you asked them to sodomize their own mother in a movie, they would do so, and they would do it with a smile on their face. You know, it's such a cop-out to talk about freedom of expression.
Really? I think that's a founding principle of this country. How's that a cop-out? Would you not appreciate the Constitution?
Yeah, why don't you just shut up? Why don't you just shut up and let me finish, all right?
Oh, Lord.
I didn't interrupt you, pal. The fact of the matter is that freedom of expression, freedom of speech, which is in the First Amendment, is a means toward an end. It is not an end in itself. It is a means toward the good society. And my freedom of speech is also conditioned on you shutting up while I'm speaking. Now, you know, we just saw this in the Islamic world, the reaction, the barbaric reaction of so many people in the Muslim world because of a cartoon. I came out with a statement saying I agree with the United States, Great Britain, and the Vatican, saying that it was unnecessarily inflammatory, and I commend the media, even though they're hypocritical in the way they act to Catholics, for not reprinting it or showing it. But the fact of the matter is, I am less interested in Gary Busey than I am in the Turkish officials. I read what the Turkish officials said about the movie. They thought it was great, including the Prime Minister. Now, in this country, we are civilized. We don't appreciate it when somebody sticks it to you in the name of freedom of speech, sir. We condemn it. But over there, they take the uncivilized approach. And then they wonder why so many people don't trust the Muslims when it comes to liberty, because they will abuse it. Indeed, in this country, we prize freedom of religion. They abhor it.
Grady, talk about that. What a contrast we have here, where all across the Muslim world we're having riots over one cartoon, and yet here we have a movie that paints Jewish doctors as organ harvesters, and we're supposed to sit back and just say, well, that's freedom of expression. Isn't there a double standard that you're carrying around?
Well, first off, I don't think you can say it paints Jewish doctors as organ harvesters. This is one character. None of us have seen the film. From what I know from people who've seen it, it's not even mentioned in the film that he's Jewish. The only two mentions of Judaism in the movie come when there's a quick shot of a crate of organs being shipped to New York, Tokyo, Paris, and Tel Aviv. And then there's a conversation between Billy Zane and Gary Busey where, without mentioning what religions they are, although you know Billy Zane's a Christian because he prays an awful lot in the movie, they have a conversation about whose God's tougher. So, you know, I don't think
but
this is a movie. This movie is not selling anti-Semitic.
You said on the website yourself that they explained that he's a Jewish doctor. So what are they doing on the website? Just in case the audience members couldn't figure out the character that was harvesting.
Well, I don't know. I don't usually go to a movie's website before I go and see it. But I don't think they're selling anti-Semitism. What they're selling is anti-Americanism, which is very popular around the world right now. And it's the same thing movie producers do in every country. You find something popular that sells, and you make a movie around it.
So do you have any problem with Billy Zane and Gary Busey being in a movie that's so anti-American that our troops are being ordered to stay away from movie theaters showing it because they're afraid that American troops may be injured or killed?
I don't think it was a clever thing to do, because I think people like you gentlemen will excoriate them for it and really take them to task for it.
Will you not
but I don't
take
think
them
it's
to
good for
task
their. No, not really. They're actors. They're not particularly successful actors at this point in their career.
They have no responsibility?
Responsibility to what?
Responsibility to not have Americans killed because they're taking part in propaganda. I mean,
well, wait. You think this movie's going to get Americans killed?
Using this logic,
wait, you think this movie's going to get Americans killed?
Using your logic. Well, I'll tell you what. That's what the Pentagon's saying. They're telling our troops to stay away from movie theaters. But using your logic, you're saying it would have been okay for Clark Gable to star in a Nazi propaganda film in 1939.
I don't think it would have been smart of him to do, but as an American, he has that right.
So no problem. You'd have no problem with that. It just wouldn't be the most intelligent career move.
I don't think it would be an intelligent career move, but no, it wouldn't offend me personally, because he has a right to do it as an American, and if I attack that right, then I'm being un-American.
So Bill Donahue, it's being un-American. I mean, is this
no? You can have any opinion about it you want.
As an American culture, Bill, that it is un-American for us to be concerned about Americans participating in a foreign film that is so anti-American that our soldiers could face harm because of it.
You know what's un-American is the idea that we can uncouple rights from responsibilities. If you take a look at what the founders said when they founded this country, certainly they gave us a Constitution, they gave us a Declaration, they gave us a Bill of Rights, attended to the Constitution. But they always talked about how the Constitution, as John Adams said, was made only for a moral and religious people. They understood that you had to be responsible. What we're getting here now is the idea that freedom means license to do whatever you want. You know, no wonder the Muslim extremists did go into the streets in Europe saying freedom is hatred. Because that's the interpretation that some people in this country are giving, that freedom means the right to do whatever you want to do. That is a bastardization of freedom as understood by the founders in this country.
All right.
That's the real problem.
Bill, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you for being with us. Grady, thank you. I disagree with you, but I appreciate it.
It's amazing to see some adults get so upset over a movie.
I appreciate it.
Oh, you're a real adult. You've been just great tonight, fella.
Yeah, Grady. Everything goes, Grady, and if you believe that there's anything that's offensive out there,
you guys are good at this shouting and putting words in people's mouths.
Yeah. And you don't think this is anti-Semitic?
Grady. All right. Well,
whatever.
Thanks,
what are you, a teenage girl?
Good to have you guys on. Continue the insults off there, Grady. And no, there was no screaming here.